Like, think about how the Brits were fighting versus how people fought later. The Brits were like, we've got to have our tea first. Now, everybody aim down the barrel. And we're like, no, we're going to win. Bang.
Roll the intro.
Hello? No, I know. No, don't worry about it. Season 4 starts right now.
Let's go!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen,
To Under the Influence of Jesus.
That was rough.
Yeah.
It was a little spicy.
Why is it spicy? Nice. We're back at you for another week of
Back at you for another.
Under the Influence.
Under the Influence.
Yep. So well,
ladies, without Byron, here we are again. Sorry, Byron. He's got stuff to do. He's got a meeting.
he's still
34 minutes ago.
part of us.
But he's still part of us. But you know how it is. Sometimes he's not here, and that doesn't mean we don't love him anymore. But we can't make you love him. We can't make that decision for you. That's up to you.
We hope that you do.
We hope that you do. But with love, Byron, we miss you. As you'll notice, we are really hot. It's really hot in here. No, you won't notice that.
I mean, you won't unless you zoom in on the sweat, becoming on our.
Becoming on our heads. That's what they say about
the sweat beads forming
There
is
you
what
go.
I'm trying.
The sweat-
What I'm looking for.
Our foreheads becoming sweaty,
yes.
and the sweat beating.
The
beating
sweat
down.
beating on our foreheads.
Yes, it's beating us over the head.
No, beating. Like a
beating.
bead.
It's beating.
Yeah, they're forming beads of sweat.
That's why I grabbed a nice cold, crisp drink.
That's why I forgot to grab a drink.
We're gonna have tissues run in real quick. Well, it's okay. I think I have some slurps, some sips of hot tea down there
Your
still.
hot tea from 2 weeks ago.
From 2 weeks ago and last week. I've been drinking it all.
Yeah.
3 episodes so far. No, we're so glad to be back. And life flight in just for. Honestly, Levi could use them. I think you're gonna sweat a little bit.
I might.
I mean, but you've got all this hair right here, and I think it's I've seen it. It's rough.
Yeah.
I've been there.
When it's all just from all the sweat, just pouring down my face.
We're glad to be back.
Yes.
We love doing this show. We hope you've been enjoying it so far. We are 16 episodes in.
16?
Yeah, I've been trying not to say the episode numbers because you guys all know there's been a few where they've been messed up. But I am going to say we're 16 episodes in and we're loving it, And it's crazy to think that we're 2/3 of the way through this season already. And we filmed in 2 different locations. So the second third, the final third will have to be in a different one, right? No, but
the second third was in the initial place anyway. Yeah.
Almost all of it. But if you guys have any ideas for some crazy fun things that you think we should do, I've been thinking maybe we should ask the audience. If you guys have videos you think you would like to see us react to, send them in the Discord, comment down below.
Discussions you think that we should have.
Yeah. Or guests you want to see, or maybe even some fun things that you'd like, maybe some cool big ideas for the finale. We've got a couple ideas for that. Excuse me. But, because we are nearing the end of the season, and so we're like, man, what is it that we want to be doing, for those big final episodes? Play a tiny violin?
Yeah, because it's sad because we're nearing the end.
Yes, of season 4. What do you think season 5 has in store? Let's dream for a moment. That's what it had in store. Man, season 5 looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I got a
pretty
brief.
Great.
I wonder, wait, let me think. Go back. Well, I didn't expect the water feature.
Whoa.
But that was a good addition.
Yeah.
So
I missed it. I couldn't see it over all the sound effects that were also.
All of the sound effects.
Yeah.
So to open things up here, as you've noticed, it's just Levi and I again. But we have fun with these episodes. We've got, I think, an interesting episode planned to talk about some things. At the top of things, though, I do want to mention, if you like the show, I haven't said this for a few weeks, but if you like the show, please, it helps a lot to like the video if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe to the channel, send it to people that you think will enjoy it as well. If you're an audio listener, then we're sorry for last episode because there was a lot of visual. It was mostly visual. We watched some videos. But if you are an audio listener, please leave a rating and review. You know, you can rate us 5 stars on Spotify. That is huge. It makes us more discoverable. Actually, we're seeing some of that play out now. Like now, if you look us up on Spotify, it used to be that you had to be very specific. Now you can actually find us. It's pretty cool. Pretty near the top, actually. And then on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a review. So you can leave a 5-star rating, and then you can write a little review. And we have one of those to read. Because I have said in the past, yes, we do. I have said in the past that if you leave us a review, I will read it. And we have a review. Let me pull it up. I should have had it ready. I'm sorry. Let me pull it up here. This is from a member of our Discord. And finally, our Discord. Go to discord.gg/Christian Influence. You can get involved playing video games with other believers. We actually just started it's not going to be just because it's been a little while already. But a Destiny clan. There's been a bunch of people playing Destiny 2 lately, and it's been super cool. I saw them
playing. I didn't know that was why. That's incredible.
We started it's honestly pretty cool to see, like, somebody in our community reached out and said, like, hey, I want to start a Christian Destiny clan. And I was like, honestly, if you'd want, you can do it in partnership with us. And he was like, that'd be sweet. So he's been running regular events in Destiny 2, and it's been pretty cool. That group is getting bigger. But yeah, you know, honestly, we have some really cool stories. I mentioned video games, and we have some really cool stories to tell, honestly, about people that have found our ministry through the video game servers and stuff that we host and get involved, and then eventually, you know, dedicated their lives to Christ because the people that they were around and the influence that they were around, the Christian influence they were around. So it works, man. It's really cool. And if you want to play games with other believers, or you want to be part of influencing people that aren't believers by playing games with them, then you can join the Discord and do that. Or you can also be a huge part of just praying for people, being in the community. It's a big thing. And somebody in our community named, his username or his gamer tag is Lucario251. He left us this review. Now, did you see it? You did?
I did.
This is a really good review.
Very good review.
He left 5 stars, and we appreciate that. Thank you. We'll read them. We'll read any review that you leave. Now, I say that, and that might invite you to be like, I should go leave a bad one because that'd be funny. Please don't. It does kind of make the show.
Don't poop on the party.
But I will read any review. And if you're honestly like, yeah, I'd like to give it 5, but I can only give it 4, do it and tell us why. But I've read some of these other ones before, and these are all old. There's a 2-year-old one, another 2-year-old one. We have one from last year from Mr. Hunter Hoover. Most recent one is from October 15th of 2023. Sorry that we didn't see it earlier, but I remembered about this segment, and I'm glad I went and looked. And I'm going to look more consistently now. But Mr. Lucario251, the subject of his review, or the title, is the word good.
Solid.
He says in his review, good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucario. Glad that you think the show is good.
Yeah. If I had one word to describe it, I hope that it would be good.
I would hope it would be good. Yeah. He categorized it as good with the title of his review, and then elaborated on that by saying good, that it was good. Yeah. Not even is good.
It wasn't that it was good.
He elaborated on the goodness of the show by saying good.
Yes.
He's like, my review, and it's like when God finished creating, and he said that it was good.
Yeah.
And he said, I said it was good, and that was good.
I hope that we can live up to this.
Dude, it is a lot of pressure.
It is so much pressure.
He cuts right to the point. He just says good.
Good.
I hope we can live up to the hype, really. No, but in all sincerity, thank you, Lucario, for leaving us that 5-star review. That's very nice of you. We appreciate it. It was fun to read. And if you like this show and you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, or even if you don't, but you have access to it, go leave us a review, and we will read it on air and give you your shout out that you deserve. Lucario is somebody who also is an avid listener, and he regularly is typing in our, sending messages and stuff in our Under the Influence chat on our Discord, and he's had some funny pictures that some fan art he's been doing lately, and we hope to show that on the show here soon. But I'm going to give him an opportunity to finish up the ones that he was working on. But then also, One time I was in the Discord we have a Christian radio channel, and for a while there was just a bot that if you joined the channel, the bot would join and it would just play a Christian radio station that was always playing, and it had like the same 25 songs it would cycle through. But that bot got canned, and now Discord just so happens at the same time to have added their own activity, which in the Discord activities tab of podcasts and radios, or excuse me, podcasts and radio. And you can just search for like basically any radio station that's on like iHeartRadio, like the internet radio broadcasts, and you can just listen to it. But you can also go to, if there's any standard RSS feed like podcast things, you can bring those in too. So Mikey Noodles and I were in there just listening to the radio while we're both doing our work, and then he joins and he's like, "Hey, can I queue up a song, or can I queue something up?" And we're like, "Sure." Okay. So we're listening, and all of a sudden it played. I hear my voice because he switched it to the Under the Influence podcast, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that was pretty funny." But yeah, we appreciate you, Lucario. He's an active member of the Discord. It's fun to get to hang out with him and talk to him. To open up this episode, we are going to do something a little different, kind of like the opening hypothetical. We are going to do a short opening tier list. So we have a list here of individuals, and the question is, we've been tasked by our producer to rank these individuals by their survivability score, the likelihood that they survive in a zombie apocalypse, a modern day, right, zombie apocalypse. And we don't have to qualify who these people are. Let's just go over, let's just read it.
Yeah, sure.
Because it could be anybody, you know. So we've got a list here. Number one, this may not be number one, but you know what I mean. First on the list is George Washington. Let's talk about that. George Washington. What's he got going for him as far as zombie apocalypse?
Well, he lived in times where it was much more difficult to survive, you know.
I didn't consider that. So legitimate, like,
And
survivability.
when he's been through many wars, you know, and he was fighting
Especially if he's alive
on like
today.
the front
He's been
lines.
through them all.
Yeah. But no, but he was an active member. Started really young, learning those tools of the trade to be able to survive.
Right.
So,
And as of today, he wouldn't have any teeth. They'd all be wooden. So even if he did turn, you don't have
You
to worry
just
about him
hit
turning
him in
you.
the face once, teeth fall out.
No,
and then
no.
He's just gumming you.
His teeth, yeah, they won't do anything. The wooden teeth, like he couldn't bite you and pass it on. Right?
I mean, he could still bite you, but like,
But they're wooden teeth. They're not gonna.
well, it's like,
Oh, because it would have the saliva,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
would just
yeah,
still.
yeah.
So just hit him in the back of the head, knock the teeth out.
hit him in the back of the head,
and he's
teeth
gonna
fall
gum
out,
you.
and then he's just gonna gum you to death.
He would have to suck on your arm so long until blood came out that then something would get
Yeah,
in.
he gives you a hickey.
Yeah, such
And
a
then
bad
you
arm
get-
hickey that it starts to finally produce something. So, but by then you should have, bashed his face in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really good leader, right? So leadership
Yes.
qualities is going to be important in a zombie
is very
apocalypse.
important, and like he was such a good leader that they were gonna change the term limit so that he could be
President again
and again and again.
Speaking of another president, here we have Thomas Jefferson. So third president. I know very little about. I mean, he's a writer, so
Wasn't he a
strong
lawman?
wrists.
No.
He owned slaves, right? People love to talk about that. So
Probably.
he'd have like an army that he'd bring around with him. They all own slaves. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, all of the original guys.
People just like to mention him. I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Yeah.
makes sense.
I really don't know enough.
I
about
don't
the
know
guy.
much
Like,
about him. What year
old.
was he? What year was he president?
He was two presidents.
No, but like, how old was he during presidency? You
Oh,
don't
he
know.
was in his 60s when he was
Yes.
president.
Okay.
And George Washington was
Washington-
50s, right?
Yeah.
50s and then 60s. So I'm going to have to rank him lower than George Washington.
Oh yeah, I would rank him lower than George Washington.
All right, next up is Abraham Lincoln. Okay.
I mean,
We're going to have to. Does he qualify for this list? Because it's an unfair advantage, right?
it is. All of his time fighting vampires.
Yeah.
You know?
So we're going to disqualify Abraham Lincoln from this list because he's already a vampire slayer. So it's an unfair advantage. All right. So moving on, Theodore Roosevelt. Abraham Lincoln out. He's not even in the running. Not at the bottom. It's not fair. Okay.
Theodore
so
Roosevelt, he would speak quietly, carry a big stick. You know. Yeah.
So he's like Morgan from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
Quiet
yeah.
and with a big stick.
Yeah, he doesn't draw attention to himself if any come near. Pop. You know?
Yeah.
He survived getting shot with a bullet, still went on with the speech. I think that survivability.
Didn't he
would
like
be great.
fight a bear?
I'm sure. Like,
Probably a bunch.
There's no way that he hasn't.
Let's see.
Like, he probably fought a 4 at the same time. Like, let's be real.
Theo Roosevelt fight a bear? Yes, President Theodore Roosevelt refused to shoot a bear during a hunting trip. The story goes that Roosevelt's assistants, led by Holt Collier, tracked down a bear that had been attacked and stunned by dogs. They tied the bear to a tree and called Roosevelt, and he beat it to death with his fists. No, I'm just kidding. While it was tied to a tree to shoot it, but he thought it would be unsportsmanlike. Instead, he asked a hunting guide to kill the bear with a knife. No.
Oh, that's
It
kind
became
of
part of his public persona. It was featured in political cartoons. New York store owner named Morris Mictum was inspired by one of the cartoons to create a stuffed bear and name it Teddy's Bear after the president. That's right.
And that's how we get teddy
that's where we
bears.
get teddy bears. I forgot about that.
Because he beat a bear to death with his bear. No, because he released the bear instead
I
of
forgot
shooting.
that's literally where the inspiration of teddy bear comes from. That must be why something about him and a bear was stuck in my head.
Probably. No, but like he also was a very like outdoorsman guy.
I feel like of all of them, he's got to have been the most outdoorsman.
Well, he and George.
Yeah, but
Because George, like, he was in America's, like, when it was, like, you know?
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, of course.
And fighting off the French and Indians,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay, so I'm gonna go right now. My list is Theo, George, Thomas.
I'm putting George above
Really?
Theo. Yeah, I think so.
What? Okay.
I think so.
Next up is FDR.
I think he's got a shot.
You know,
Solid.
he could definitely outwheel a lot of the zombies. Like,
Put other zombies in a wheelchair and he's going to beat them.
he's gone. So my list is now FDR.
FDR, Theodore.
Well, you know what? The disease in his body might make him immune to the.
It's World War Z rules. They won't go after him because he's already got polio.
sick. Yeah. It was polio, right?
Was it polio, right? Shibbles? No.
I thought it was. I thought it was polio. I'm pretty sure it's polio.
But no, yeah, FDR's. It's rough for him
Yeah.
unless you're working with
you
World
are
War Z
heartless,
rules.
Shibley. These are the ones you picked, and you put FDR on this list.
Yeah,
I guess
that's so mean. He's a man of the people. Like,
Last on the list is Ronald Reagan.
wasn't he like really old when he was president though? And that's like what we're doing during their presidency. You know?
Yeah, in their prime.
Wasn't he like super old?
I'm pretty sure he was like 72 in his second term,
Yeah.
like when he ran for his second term.
Yeah. Was he like cognitive enough? You know?
I mean, yeah. Have you seen that clip of him where they ask him that question? They're like Mr. Ronald Reagan, the whole country wants, just like they've been asking Biden, but he was way younger than Biden. But they're like, do you have dementia? And he was like,
What was he like?
Yeah, he has a
No?
pretty good answer. Have you not seen that clip?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should look it up.
Do you want to look that up? All right. So while he looks that up,
I'm gonna put Ronald Reagan.
I mean, he was an actor, right?
yeah, he had been an
Yeah,
actor,
yeah.
cowboy actor. So I'm gonna say first term Ronald Reagan. So probably like he's like 60s, mid 60s.
Uh-huh.
So he's the same age as Thomas Jefferson. And how old was Roosevelt?
Roosevelt, I feel like was in his 50s. What's up?
Okay, you got the
he's-
video?
He's got the video?
All right,
okay.
let's watch it while I look up Roosevelt's age.
Yeah.
Mr. Truitt, your question to President Reagan.
Mr. President, I want to raise an issue that I think has been lurking out there
He
for
looks
2
like
or
the
3
Vulture
weeks and
from
cast
Marvel
it
Comics.
specifically in
He
national
looks
security
older than
terms.
Reagan.
You already are the oldest president in history, and some of your staff say you were tired after your most recent encounter with Mr. Mondale. I recall yet that President Kennedy had to go for days on end with very little sleep during the Cuba Missile Crisis. Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
Dude, when you get your opponent to laugh, the whole crowd to laugh, you're drinking water, and the moderators are laughing. Sorry, I shouldn't have been talking over it. Go ahead. So proud of himself.
If I still have time, I might add, Mr. Truitt, I might add that It was Seneca or it was Cicero, I don't know which, that said, if it was not for the elders correcting the mistakes of the young, there would be no state.
Mr. President, I'd like to head for the fence and try to catch that one before
Okay.
it goes over, but I'll go on to another.
Oh, yeah, that's the end of the clip. Dude, if you make such a good joke, you're laughing. Actually, you're not laughing. You drink water. Your opponent starts laughing. The moderators laugh, and the whole crowd is dying. And then you quote a philosopher.
I mean, pretty good.
Pretty based.
Pretty good. But his credentials for surviving a zombie apocalypse.
He was mid-60s. Oh, I have information about Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah.
I think this will
Theo?
change your mind about your George Washington one. He's our youngest one on this list.
Theo? Really?
42.
42.
That's where it really starts going downhill, but you're still at the top of the hill.
Yeah. Maybe, honestly, because
He led the Rough Riders during the Spanish-American War.
He led the Rough Riders during the Spanish-American
War. I mean, George led America and defeated the global superpower at the time.
Totally different war, though. Like, think about how the Brits were fighting versus how
Yeah,
people fought later. The Brits were like, we've got to have our tea first. Now, everybody aim down the barrel. And we're like, no, we're going to win. Bang. Which is, I mean, I guess that's the point.
I mean, George also fought during the French and Indian War. That's where he got his start.
That's true. So he did shoot a lot of people in the back as they ran away. I don't know. Were we fighting against the French then, or were we fighting with them? I don't know anything about war.
I don't remember, but that's so funny.
I don't know history, man.
No, I think that we were fighting against the French.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I had my 8th grade history class.
Yeah. Yes, the United States fought against the French. Yeah, so he's really good at that.
Yeah, he's really good at shooting people in the back as they're running away.
So that's gonna be rough for him because the Walking Dead are coming
zombies
at
will
ya.
be coming face first into him. I didn't think about that. No, yeah. And he was in his 50s when he was doing his first term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm dude.
Yeah,
Theo?
I think maybe Theo, and then George.
I don't know. You guys let us know what you think, but I think our list is Theo, George.
Whoa! I thought it was FDR, Theo, George,
No, it's Theo,
George, and then
Reagan. I don't know. Reagan and Thomas Jefferson are basically the same age when they're serving their first terms.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson's way older, maybe more survivability knowledge.
Like from a different era.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I feel like Jefferson probably had more hands-on experience with survival than Reagan would, because Reagan was just an actor. Not to say that, like, you know, but
soft hands though, probably.
a big ol' yeah.
Just kidding. So we're going. So really, it is in kind of chronological order, except Theo only gets bumped up because we think he's close to equivalent on survivability, probably, but he's younger. Yeah. I don't know. So Theo, George, Jefferson.
I think Jefferson, Reagan,
FDR.
Poor FDR. Why would you include him?
Why did you put him on this list?
It's mean. It's really below the belt, you know?
It's kind of his legs. Poor guy, man. That's rude of us. We're sorry. We're going to have to bring that dog in here and make another apology.
We're going to have to make an apology to FDR.
Levi, you got a news segment for us, right?
Oh, do I?
Let us know in the comments. What do you think about that list?
Yeah.
And
Let
now,
us know.
wait, real quick before we move on.
Yeah.
Of all U.S. presidents, you get to pick one. Who's the one that is surviving the zombie apocalypse?
Is this the one that leads you in surviving, or they themselves are the survivor of the zombie apocalypse?
What? What's the difference? Like they're leading me?
Like, would you want to have him in your survival party of surviving the zombie
Who's the
apocalypse?
most capable?
Or are you saying on their own, like all of them Hunger Games style, like surviving the zombie apocalypse, not trying to kill each other, but just trying to survive?
I just think who is the most capable most capable in the zombie apocalypse.
Okay,
So it's like a mix of the two, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Who is it? You said you had a really good answer.
Oh, no.
Was
My
it on this
answer
list?
was George, because I thought that he was younger when he was doing his first presidency.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to go with, can I go with presidential candidates?
No.
Bummer. Okay. Presidents, I honestly do think it's Theo.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty young and he seems very capable, but I don't know. Shipley, do you have a different one?
I go with Teddy.
You're going
Teddy?
Teddy? Yeah. I really, because Teddy was just such a man's man, like
Yeah.
super outdoorsy.
No, yeah, he really was. Like, yeah. He's a good
Cool.
choice.
So then, yeah, he's top of our list, and out of all presidents, we think he's probably the one too. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think. All right, let's go.
Yep, let's go.
Front page of Los Angeles Times from the year.
Drum roll, please. The year is 1953.
Whoa.
May 27th.
Why is that guy holding on to his
Man
head?
seriously hurt by barracuda attack.
What?
A fisherman seriously injured when attacked by a deadly barracuda off Lower California has been flown to San Diego Hospital. Story page 28.
Ow. It's like a sentence and a half. Is it this picture, though? Is that him?
No, that's not him.
What is this guy?
Victory sign. Norris Polson shows as he claimed victory in mayoral
I
election.
think he was holding like an ice pack on top of his head.
No, he's just got his hand
He's got
in
his,
the air.
I've never seen, like, victory. Victory! What a weirdo. Wow, 2 sentences, huh?
Yeah.
So wait, he was attacked by a barracuda and then what? They took him to the hospital and then it just ends?
Yep, that's it. Full
Lame.
rest of the story on page 28. But
Millions gather for rites, but it's spelled rites like dark rituals.
last rites.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Or
Okay.
Same day.
Oh, okay, good.
We lost a bomber. Well, no, we didn't. Canadians did because they're Canadians, you know. Sorry for any Canadians out there. My bad.
Maybe.
Not against you, but
The old
Canada,
ones.
am I right? Vancouver, BC, May 26th. A 4-engine Royal Canadian Air Force Lancaster bomber with 10 men aboard was unreported on a flight to San Diego, California today, and search planes fanned out over the stormy southern Oregon coast where the plane was last reported. So basically, it was last seen over Newport, Oregon at 3:20 a.m. En route from Vancouver Island with several other bombers. Like, there was a fleet of them. There was 10 bombers, and this
And
one
only
just
9
got
showed
sank.
up?
9 showed up. One just got last seen Vancouver or
Newport.
last seen over Newport, and
What?
Coast Guard said that it had enough gas to make it to 1 p.m. that
How many people
day.
were on it?
10.
And they're all just dead? Gone?
Unreported. Like, they're
I mean,
just-
there's a lot of, like, forest.
so there were thunderstorms and heavy showers in the
Oh,
vicinity.
okay. Were they flying over the ocean when this happened, or were they over Newport, like the city of Newport?
Yeah, the city of
So
Newport,
more
along the
likely over the
coastline.
coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even along that coast, there's a lot of trees and forest.
Yeah, there
But-
is. But like during a storm, he just
Yeah. A huge
Lost.
wave went.
But it's a brightly painted red and silver plane. Yeah.
That's sad, dude. That's crazy, though. An entire bomber just gone.
Yeah, and they sent out a bunch of planes to go look for it and never saw anything.
All of them disappeared, too.
Yeah. I also there's another cool
Oh,
headline.
my goodness. On this page?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big news day.
Russians execute 4 as spies for the U.S.
We lost 4?
Yeah. So I thought it was hilarious until I read farther.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very
No. But like, it just comes out that Moscow says, "Hey, we found 4 guys. We interrogated them, and they all say that they're part of U.S. intelligence and that they were sent here to do espionage and terrorist attacks." Yeah, the cop parachuters confessed that they were diversionists dropped on the USSR from abroad by the American Intelligence Service with diversionist, terrorist, and espionage assignments. So, but what I thought was really funny, that they were identified as Alexander Vilizovich Lokhno and Alexander Nikolaevich Makov, Sergey. Oh wait, no. I thought that it was a comma. That was the guy's only name. No, it's Sergey, whatever. Iosimovich.
Yeah, you got it.
Gorbanov and Dmitry Nikolaevich Remiga.
Yeah, they sound like Americans.
Yeah. But apparently they were what did I say? That they were
Killed?
Yeah,
defectors.
they defected from Russia into West Germany.
Oh, and then Russia found them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They defected to West Germany
Hilarious.
and started to work with. Yeah, but no. I was like, oh wow, they found our guys and killed them. And then I was like, wait, looking at
There's
all the
no way
names,
these
they're
are
just
our
like
guys?
A bunch of Russian guys.
Yeah. But no, they were defectors. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they were all defectors.
Dude.
But America wouldn't do something like that.
What?
Send people into another country to do espionage and terrorism.
Yeah, I don't get the joke. Is it just sarcasm?
Yeah,
Just because we
a little bit.
definitely would?
Because we probably definitely.
I think we have all the
yeah.
time.
1953. Yeah.
But we're just the good guys, so it's okay.
we were the good guys. Yeah, the whole time.
So in 1953, a
But
guy
yeah,
got attacked by a barracuda.
Barracuda.
In
off,
LA, right?
Off the southern Californian coast.
Yeah,
which
I
is
didn't know
wild.
we had barracudas out here.
Yeah, I didn't think that we did. And, well, I
Because
guess...
they're the scary looking
I
ones.
guess they're around Australia, if Finding Nemo is correct.
I mean, they're the scary looking ones, dude.
He's the same as Nemo.
Who?
He survived a barracuda attack.
Yeah, they're the same person, basically.
They're the same person.
But no, the plane thing is crazy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that in Oregon. Like, we've got some creepy stories.
We've got like...
Isn't that one guy that everybody talked about on the internet?
Oh, yeah.
Was he in Oregon?
Cooper?
Well, no. DB Cooper. That was in Oregon, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about... No, the other guy's not. No, he is. Huh?
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes?
No, he was recent. It was like a meme kind of. Everybody was talking about this. They made him like a hero, like how
did
he
he do?
stole the plane. Is it Howard Hughes? No. He
are
was
you
in
talking
airport.
Up at Seattle.
Yeah, he was, but he flew down into Oregon. Like you could see him in Oregon. I'm pretty sure, like in Portland or something. But I thought so, maybe not. But that guy that a lot of people are like, he's a hero because he was just a worker. Wendigoon has a video about him. He like would work at the airport and then he just stole a plane, flew it around, and it's really sad and tragic when you hear like the things he was saying.
Yeah,
'cause
the
it was
things
like,
that he was saying,
he's
and then they're
"I'm
like, you
sad and
have to
alone."
perform this thing.
And then he did.
And then he did it.
No. Well, there was that, but he's like, I'm gonna do a loop-de-loop, and they're like, do not do that. Like the best pilots can't even do that sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna do it, and then he goes up, does a barrel roll, and then does it. They're like, this is it. This is where he crashes and dies,
Yeah.
and he's like just above the city and is fine.
And then they're reporting on it and just like,
he did it. Yeah, they're like the guys that are talking to him or I think dispatch, whatever. Are like, he's performing a barrel. Oh my goodness! And then they're watching, and then he's like, and flies back
Yeah.
up, and they're like, he actually did it. Like they start
Yeah.
laughing, but it's a really sad
And he's
story
just like, yeah.
because eventually I think he crashed the plane onto an island or something.
Yeah.
but I was pretty sure that was Seattle or
Seattle,
it was in this
but
area.
it was flying around Oregon.
It was.
I lived up there when it happened.
Oh, Shibley
Oh, wow.
lived up there when it happened. That's crazy. Yeah, no, it's a sad story. And that kind of stuff, I feel like there's a lot of that's happened in the Oregon, like Pacific Northwest, and like planes going missing in the forests and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it's some creepy stories. Like, we live in an interesting area. But yeah, there it is.
yeah. Sasquatch got them all.
So yeah, if you see that plane, let somebody know. I wonder if it's been found now. Like red, it's red. It's like if parts have
I
been
have no idea because
washed up.
they were just searching for it for like a couple days.
Yeah.
Like before they reported it, you know?
There's some stuff. There's like cool stuff on the Oregon coast though, like stuff from Japan, like that boat.
Yeah.
There's like this old rusted boat that's like washed up on our coast. That's from Japan, and
We were also the only continental United States to be attacked by Japan during World War II. They sent a
Hawaii?
submarine. Continental.
Continental. Oh, yeah. I was like,
Pearl
Harbor, dude.
Pearl Harbor didn't happen.
whoa, hot take. Continental.
That was
my
a ploy
mistake.
to get into World War II. No, but they sent a
The same guys that faked the moon.
a submarine up the Columbia.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And so at what fort was it? One of our big forts shot at it into the water because they saw a periscope go up and they saw like they started to come up. They saw the top of it, started shooting. It went back down, never saw it again. Fort Stevens, yeah.
Fort Stevens. That is crazy. I did not know that. You know, that kind of creeps me out because now if we ever deal with something like that again, like Korea, Japan, you know, like they decide to attack us, like we are located in a bad spot.
Yeah,
Oregon.
if they send ships and things, like
If they legit want
they'll
to send
probably
troops,
send it to California, honestly.
that's fine.
Like
No. They can have it. They can have it. Just let us keep our green up here.
Yeah.
Trees, not weed.
No, yeah.
I realized it's Oregon, so
No,
people are
yeah.
probably thinking I'm
I was thinking Pacific Northwest green, but no, yeah. Now we have to make a distinction.
We have to make a distinction. Well, why would they want California though? I guess it's
because
a statement.
California it's a big statement. There's a high population there. Like when people think of America, most of the time they think of California.
High population
or New
matters
York.
for terrorism, but if you're just going for like ease of getting into it and getting boots on the ground and taking something over, I feel like they could have an easier job taking us.
Yeah, Red Dawn.
What about Red Dawn?
Red Dawn, they went into Oregon, right?
What? I don't think so.
Yeah, because I
they
thought that was-
parachute in like.
Yeah.
I thought
Was
it was
it
I think
Midwest?
it's the Midwest. I think it. I don't know. Let's Google it. You should look
I
that up.
definitely
Well,
thought that it-
each version though, the old one and the
I
new one
thought
are
that it was
different
Pacific
places.
Northwest.
One of them might be, but I don't know. I feel like because the Wolverines, like it was based off of
Yeah.
a specific place, but you might be right. It's one.
I might be wrong.
The two versions are in different places. So the
Yeah,
Red Dawn,
yeah.
the original one with Swayze, and then the one with Hemsworth. Are,
I only think of the Swayze one.
oh yeah, it's the better one, right? They
Yeah,
both have that.
I think it's better.
Calumet.
Oh, it's Colorado. Okay.
Wait, which version is this though? Jed and Matt. Red Dawn 1984 is the first one. So put 1984
Well, that's
into the
filming
search.
locations.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying 1984. You should type in 1984 into the search. Yep, in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
what
it
about
was in
the
Colorado.
2012 one? I think it's 2012, I'm going to guess 2012, 2013 maybe. Came out when I was a freshman, I think. 2017? It was not that recent. Resubed. 2012!
Oh, dude. When you just don't think and you just say the number,
I'm
you're
right.
always
I'm
right.
always right.
Every single time when it comes to movies.
So 2012, like Wikipedia. Oh yeah, it says Mount Michigan.
Is it Michigan? Why would it be Michigan?
No, production in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Oh, Colorado. Yeah. Okay, they're both.
Well,
so I-
that's Red Dawn. The other one is the 2012 film, the Wikipedia
yeah.
for
So
the
click
2012
the
film.
Wikipedia for the 2012. Is an action director.
Plot in the
North Korean invasion. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in it. I didn't realize that. Plot. In the fallout of an economic European Union. It's really hard to read. It's so far away.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard for me to read it.
U.S. Marine Jed Eckert is Spokane. Wait, Spokane, Washington.
Spokane, Washington.
Home on
Okay,
leave in
was-
Spokane. You were right, dude.
Okay, so the second one, the newer one.
That's super interesting.
was
I did not know
Pacific
that.
Northwest.
That is super interesting. Yeah, that's scary because I mean it's North Korea. Like that's the idea.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
But I don't think that they would ever get a ground assault like
That's
to
not how
that-
war is going to be if
to
it happens.
the parachutes.
right?
Yeah.
Like they're not
There's no
going
way.
to surprise us
There's
with
no way.
troops on the ground. They're going to start with something else.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, not to get too, but like they're going to start with some bombs or some EMPs or
yeah, unmanned.
They're gonna
stuff
create
is
a-
gonna start it all.
they're going to create a machine to create a tsunami on our coast. No, I'm just kidding. It's just and they're like, great, everybody's dead. Yeah, we got a fun little YouTube. Well, I say fun. I think it's going to be interesting. You guys, if you're watching and you're a longtime viewer, you know how much we enjoy watching things from Voddie Baucham. Often he's just got such a great
Voice.
voice. Yeah. I mean, great opinions,
Yeah.
great preaching, and just strong opinions,
Yes,
and they're
very
biblically
strong
based.
opinions.
And he's not afraid to be like, this is right.
And he
Because the Bible
sticks to
says
his
so.
guns, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
So I think he's solid. I mean, I think I disagree with him on some. I know I disagree with him on some things theologically. I'm not Calvinist, but he is just like. I mean, I don't care like that he is. He will preach just so.
Yeah. Just
Strong.
because you have, I almost said just because you have one wrong opinion doesn't mean
Just because you have a differing opinion. Yeah. I agree. I actually recently talked to Matt about Voddie, and we were talking just about that. That part of that major theological difference, and he was just saying the same thing. He's like, yeah, but dude, Voddie's like a solid, like such a great preacher. Like that's one of the things he does so well, like exegetical preaching and just being like boom, boom, boom. So this is a video. I actually haven't watched it, even though I'm the one that recommended we watch it. This is from a guy who has a channel called Wretched Radio, or Wretched, because the thing is, like, we're wretched sinners. And that guy is pretty awesome. I think a lot of his videos are pretty good. They're usually pretty topical about things going on in the culture, and then he just gives scripture in reference to it, and it's great. You made an interesting comment on his look earlier.
Yeah.
I'll let you.
So when I heard the video that he was playing while we were eating lunch, it sounded like it was AI created, and they used the base of the AI was
Cliff Nechtel.
With Cliff Nechtel, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought that it was an AI Cliff Nechtel like video interviewing Voddie, or like some kind of,
Which is funny,
like,
'cause
description of that. Yeah.
if you look at the guy, he kind of looks similar to Cliff Nechtel.
Yeah.
But no, he's got a cool channel.
It's not.
This
It's not.
This is definitely not him. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Voddie Baucham. But if you like this, check out that guy's channel. This looks like it's an interview. They're both at a conference or something, and the wretched guy is interviewing Voddie Baucham.
The wretched guy.
I can't remember his name, but he's interviewing Voddie, and he's got an interesting premise. It seems as though he's going to be asking him some questions, and so let's give it a shot. Here we go.
This is what I would like to do, Voddie. I have some Bible verses on the subject of worship. I am going to read this Bible verse, and you are going to tell me what it means or what it doesn't mean, based on the Bible verse, without reading into it.
Do I get to choose either to tell you what it means or to tell you what it doesn't?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Let's do 2 Samuel 6:14.
He's very focused.
David was dancing before the Lord with all his might, and David was wearing a linen ephod. Go.
When you dance in church, wear linen.
Great answer.
Thanks for making the point. All right. Therefore, David danced in church. Dancing in church is biblical. Can I use
There we
this
go.
for a text?
Here, you want to pause it real quick? Something
don't
that's
have a
interesting
problem
about the wretched guy is that he's called Wretched Radio. He has such an interesting, like, cadence. You can hear it a little bit there, but the way he talks is very much old-timey radio host. Like,
Yeah.
like David danced in church. Like,
Yeah, but that's kind of why I thought it was an AI of of
because it's not like how regular people talk, kind of.
Yeah. It's like enunciating slightly different things than what would be normal.
And he really, like, he plays it up. Like, he'll just be looking into the camera and he's like just such a radio host. It's very interesting. But yeah.
Hey, and if you're listening, you should like come to the YouTube so you can see what we're.
That's true. Yeah, if you're
about.
listening on the audio only, go check it out on YouTube if you want to watch. But luckily, this is something that doesn't entirely need visual.
It's mostly audio.
Can you turn it up slightly before we go again? Thank you, sir. That should be good.
In the church.
I do.
But this verse says David danced.
You can use whatever you want to use, right?
All right, well, tell me why
But
this
first
verse
of all,
Nice
David wasn't in
socks,
church.
buddy.
Okay, fair enough.
That's
but
first.
he did it in worship.
David wasn't in church.
He was worshiping the Lord.
Yeah.
Very excited about the ark.
He was very excited about the ark.
Yes.
Yes. We don't have an ark.
Well, okay.
We don't have a king.
But I could do that.
We do
with
have a
anything.
king.
We don't have
My
a,
opinion,
But what
bad
I'm
points.
saying is that when we read this, we have to read this text in its historical context.
All right.
In order to understand what's
Okay,
happening
so-
here.
okay,
right?
so-
Because the other thing is this: narrative is not normative.
Correct.
It's a very important principle of
Everybody's like,
exegesis. Narrative is not normative. Just because something happened doesn't mean that it's supposed
description
to happen.
isn't prescription.
Normative.
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's shadings on that. You know that. Supposed to versus can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So how's about if I say to you, okay, fine, Voddie, I give you your context.
Can I dance in church? Yes.
I'd kind of like to see that. Would you maybe just humor us and show us a couple of moves? Not a chance. Okay, this is actually, let's keep diving on this. So David isn't dancing in church, so I can't say,
So for example,
David danced, I can dance.
Yeah, you can. But that would be more akin to we've excommunicated someone.
What?
And
What?
we're here at worship This person we've excommunicated. It was a painful experience for the church. We've been praying for this person. Their life just went to the pit. And God saves them and brings them back.
Right.
And they walk through the doors. There might be a little dancing. That's more akin to what's happening there. An emotional, sort of outburst in response to a circumstance, as opposed to here's how we're going to organize our worship.
Fair enough, but there is explicit and implicit.
Here we go. That's the best point he's made so far, in my opinion. I think that's what he was building to, and they were just kind of bantering. But I was like, just because, like, the context context does matter, and that is the context of it. Less the, like, we don't have a king. We don't have the ark.
Yeah,
like,
we don't have the ark. We don't have the king. It's like,
okay, we're not in Jerusalem. Okay, but I kind of, I don't think it's wrong, actually. It depends. But, when it becomes, I was going to be careful. When it becomes the, like, church is a party thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you going? Is church, are you going because it's a party? Like, are you making it all emotive? Like, it's all like, I feel, it's like, I don't know. But I like what he said.
Yeah. And that, that.
We're not really giving color commentary.
No, we're not giving very much color commentary. No, but, like, it is important that, like, that is what was going on. Like, he was dancing because they finally returned the ark to...
It's an emotional response to an incredible thing that God has brought to
Which, it was also, like... It's so in this story, David has... they got the ark, they were taking it to a place, and then all of a sudden, a guy died while carrying it. So then they just put it off in this other guy's house, and we're like, we're not going to take it to Jerusalem. And then... was it Jerusalem? But
the ark is brought back to Jerusalem, I'm pretty certain.
But
I'm checking right now.
They're going about their business, and then that guy that they dropped the ark off with, he started having incredible, like, wealth and health. Like, his house was incredibly blessed. And then David was like, oh, shoot. Let's bring that back, like, to where I need it to be. And then they brought it back, and once it came back, then he, like, dancing before the Lord.
What is the specific verse he's referencing? 2 Samuel 6 what? Is it while David and all Israel were energetically celebrating before the Lord? No.
No, this is... Yeah, because the reason that they dropped it, because, well, they weren't carrying it properly. But when it dropped off, a guy grabbed it, died, and David became angry at God because he shouldn't have died because he was trying to stop the ark from falling.
Now David, wearing a linen ephod, was dancing with all his strength before the Lord. It's 6:14. David and all Israel were bringing up the ark of the Lord, shouting and blowing trumpets. Let's see here. Those who carried the ark of the Lord took 6 steps, and then David sacrificed an ox and a fatling calf. And then he danced with all his strength before the Lord. Do you think it was just David dancing? I guess. Like, he just by himself, just like dancing before the Lord, and people are like, that's our king.
Well, we do see that his wife comes out and it's just like, why do you is it disgrace yourself in this way?
Yeah.
And then he says, I'll become more...
As the ark of the Lord entered the city of David, Saul's daughter, Michal, looked out the window when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord. I mean, he was going.
Yeah.
She despised him. They brought the ark of the Lord and put it in its place in the middle of the tent that David had pitched for it, and David offered burnt offerings. Where is it? I guess that's all it says about her, right? That she despised him? When he went home to pronounce a blessing on his own house, Michal, Saul's daughter, came out to meet him. She said, how the king of Israel has distinguished himself this day. He's exposed himself today before his servants, slave girls, the way a vulgar fool might do. He replied to Michal, it was before the Lord. I was celebrating before the Lord, who chose me over your father and his entire family and appointed me as leader over the Lord's people, Israel. I am willing to shame and humiliate myself even more than this, but with the slave girls whom you mentioned, let me be distinguished. Now Michal, Saul's daughter, had no children to the day of her death. Key moment to mention that.
Would you consider that that setting to be the equivalent of being in church?
Yeah, that's I think what he's saying, right?
So
kind of like
that's the thing that Voddie
Shibley mentioned. Would we count that as like the setting of being in church, kind of? I think what he's saying, it's an important distinction, right? That like church is different. Church is a regular assembly of God's people, right? To worship and learn about Him, to grow in relationship with Him, right? To experience and express His glory.
He was worshiping the Lord because they were making these sacrifices, and then he started to dance in front of the Lord. Like,
it seems more here that like he doesn't deny that he made a fool of himself. Like, he looks like a fool, but the lesson to learn here is that he says, "I'm willing to look like a fool to people in order to demonstrate to God His greatness, like to demonstrate to Him that I love Him and am worshiping Him." Right?
Yeah. There's another version that puts it way better. I can't remember the specific word
Don't
that
tell
gets
Matt
used.
You said that.
No. He says that.
I know. I'm just kidding. It's just because I was reading NET and Matt likes it. I like the NET as well.
Or NIV.
Yeah, I mean it's probably NIV. Which part? The McCall part?
No, his response to McCall.
Oh, his response to McCall. I will become even more undignified. I'll be humiliated in my own eyes, but by these slave girls you spoke of, I will be held in honor.
Yeah, but like just I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the lesson.
I mean, he humbles, like he doesn't put himself above, like the Lord. He's just a guy praising God
He's saying, it doesn't matter how I look to other people.
Yeah.
And that's not why I do things. Like when we look at, it's consistent through Scripture, but God says to love the Lord your God with all your heart and your mind, like and your like with above all else, love God first, right? And if all of your decisions are in that, are founded in loving Him first and doing first, being seen by Him first and being seen rightly, then you won't be considering how you're being seen by other people.
And if you're doing things to look good in front of the other people, then how they react to you is your reward already. We're told that
with the Pharisees,
Jesus.
right? Yeah. Like their reward is what they get. They do the things they do to be seen by men and for men's praise, and that is their reward. People that do things to be for God, we're told very clearly what the reward is for that. Living your life for God, the reward is well, putting your faith in Jesus first, right? First and foremost. But there is a reward in heaven for those who live for God, right? And those who live for men, the reward is pretty clear as well. The reaction of men, good or bad, and then ultimately hell.
Let's see what else Voddie has to say.
As opposed to, here's how we're going to organize our worship.
Fair enough, but there is explicit and implicit. So could I not use this as an implicit text to say, look, it's not a sin to celebrate and worship the Lord by moving your body?
Sure.
Therefore, this verse still gives me permission to do that, not commanded.
Not when you went to the therefore. Not when you.
Why not?
You were okay till the therefore.
Well, how do you apply it then?
Well, because here's the thing. Why do we want to do this? Why do we want to make this a normal activity for us?
I wasn't saying to make it's commanded. I'm saying this verse gives us permission to express ourselves in joyful worship to the Lord by busting a move.
You could do it.
It's not commanded, but it gives me permission.
You could do it.
You're humoring me now, aren't you? You just want to be done with this.
You could do it. I'm waiting.
All right. Let's do John 4.
You're not going to do it?
Oh, waiting for me to do it? You got to, do something that makes me happy, and maybe I'll get down with my bad self.
But there you go, getting down with your bad self, obviously.
This is just some skit.
I'll be needing to see some.
It's an ad for their channel.
But just by saying getting down with his bad self, it's obvious dancing is evil and wrong, should not be done in church before God. There you go. Boom, roasted.
Yeah, get down with your good self.
Get down with your good self and
get up with his good self.
Yes.
Why'd you have to think about that so much?
Because it was worded weirdly.
Yeah. I mean, it's also like they were kind of mentioning, it sounds kind of like when, is it Corinthians? When it's like, just because all things are permitted.
Yeah, that's
not all things are not encouraged. I'm not going to misquote that. I am.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's like heavily misquoted.
Is it?
I feel like it is.
Because the
Or
whole
not
purpose of
worded
what that's saying is
correctly.
to clarify.
Yeah.
It's like just because all things are legal does not mean all things are wise, right?
Yeah.
Not because all things are legal. Verse 1 Corinthians 6:12. Everything is permissible for me, but not all things are beneficial. Yeah. Or I've heard it translated, all things are legal, but not all things are wise or beneficial, right? So that's why he's saying like, yeah, you can, but he's saying like, should you? You know, it's kind of, there's a lot of those things in the life of the believer. Like, just because you can do something, does it mean like it is beneficial for the life of the believer? So I think a better case for the whole dancing in church thing is to say like, well, make a case for me why it's beneficial. Like, why is it beneficial in the life of the believer? Why is it beneficial for the service of church? You know, that kind of thing. Everything okay, Shib? You're looking for your dog? Yeah, I have no idea where that dog went. Huh? He's around.
He's around. Yeah.
In the last episode, he just kind of like walked in.
Yeah, he just walked in
funny.
here, turned his head, went
Yeah.
back into the cool air.
It was funny. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I think like dancing in church is all right until it's not.
Yeah. So where's the line? That's for you to decide, huh?
I mean, yeah, I think if it becomes a distraction for others or it becomes more than being so overfilled with like in a worshipful sense to God, and it becomes anything other than that.
The distraction for others thing,
Then-
if you're doing it to distract others, but people getting distracted by things, is that your fault? Like, I'm really distracted by that guy's toupee. Like, he wore a toupee. Should he not be allowed to because I'm getting distracted by it?
Well, no. But like if the guy is...
If he's wearing the toupee to be seen by men...
Yeah.
As opposed to women. No, just kidding. To be seen by others and like to receive praise, then like that's a question, like should he be wearing it at all, I guess. But like, I think, yeah, I think I agree with you. Like if you're dancing in church to be seen by others and like for others to be like, man, he's very spiritual.
Man, he's
like David. He's so moved.
It's like the like speaking in tongues.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, if you don't speak in tongues, then you aren't a Christian.
Yeah.
So then people start to speak in tongues or pretend to like speak in tongues.
Yeah.
To prove that they are a Christian.
Don't get me started, man.
Yeah.
But the whole like being filled with the Spirit, the equivalent of being filled with the Spirit has been changed. Like the goalpost has been moved to where it's like, okay, so you're not filled with the Spirit, which means you must not be saved, because if you're saved, you'll be filled with the Spirit, because they've changed this idea of being filled with the Spirit instead of being filled with the Spirit, right?
Yeah.
The indwelling of the Holy Spirit. The sign of it is that you will samalama dimalama, you know?
Yeah.
And then what? Like what you're saying is it produces people that fake it?
Yeah, because it produces some people that will fake, like will be crushed that they can't just do that as they see other people do and want to prove, oh, I need to be saved and I'm not saved unless I do this thing.
Which just works, man. I need to prove that I'm saved by doing something. Like,
yeah. And until they do that thing, they feel more and more crushed until some people will get into, I've talked to people about this, will get into the mindset of, oh, shoot, I just have to start doing something. And like, if I don't, then I'm just not. So I've got to prove that I am.
Yeah.
Until it happens for real.
Yeah, no. Or doesn't.
Or
know,
doesn't.
like,
and then you're just like lying.
Yeah. No, I think that they're in the same camp.
And like the dancing in church, if you take it to the extent of like being overfilled with the Holy Spirit, I think you can come to the same conclusion.
Yeah. Which is true of like a lot of things too, right?
Yes.
Like it is even true of prayer. Like prayer is something that we're explicitly told to do, right?
Yeah.
We're not explicitly told to dance. But like prayer is this thing that we know the Pharisees were doing to be seen by men, doing it in a long-winded way, and there are examples of that today. Absolutely. People that are like, oh, I want to be heard praying well, when in actuality, like your relationship with God, prayer is a part of it in which you don't need to do it in a certain way, right? There are ways that we can talk about doing it that are probably more effective, right? Talking about like, it's good to be thankful. It's good to start with thankfulness, right? Like it's not wrong to talk about that. But like, when you have examples of people that are like, oh, Heavenly Father today. Oh, I feel you now. Yeah. It's like,
or like,
and they do that every
praying
time
as like a spectacle. Like
that's a
Yeah, like pray to your father. Like,
is that how you talk to your dad?
Father!
Craig. Oh, I'm glad you're here.
Oh, Father, what anime are you watching today?
You should go home today.
Please, Father, can you watch this one that I've been recommending to you for a long time now that I think you would really like?
Yeah. But like, yeah.
But we should show more reverence to God than we do. Like
our earthly fathers.
Than our earthly fathers.
Certainly.
Like not questioning that at all.
Yeah.
But like prayer is such an incredible gift.
I'm sorry. Just reading the note. He said we're definitely clipping
that. No, but like
you said prayer is a gift.
Prayer is such an incredible gift because the creator of the universe, the one that has everything in control, has given us a direct line of communication with him to ask for things that we need, to tell him how we are doing, and to have a back and forth relationship with him that all starts with us coming to him in prayer.
Yeah.
And it also, we are told that our prayers go up to him like a sweet fragrance. He
bends down to listen.
He desires to listen to us, desires us to speak with him, and enjoys that communication between us.
Yeah. So when we make it into a show for other people,
so when we're making
really
it into then it's like, yeah, it's like having, like trying to have a good relationship with your dad, like, or like how families will do. We have time and time again, like YouTube content creators will tout their kids around and have more kids to show them, and then incredibly degrade them, humiliate them, and sometimes abuse them off camera, but then have them on camera seem to have like a happy family for clout, for money, for whatever they're trying to do for them, and not trying to have a proper relationship with their children who they've made their entire internet persona to be.
Yeah.
And in the same way, if you're just sitting there like dancing in church just to be that guy that dances in church.
Because you're so in tune with God.
Because trying to show that you're so in tune with God versus being so in tune with God that, it comes out in like, I can't express how much I love God, and in this moment dance. And
it comes out in your love, or I mean your life too, right? Like if your relationship with God is one that is genuine, then it will come out just in all of your actions, and it will come out in your speech. It will come out naturally, like passively, essentially, right? Because you're focusing first on God, and then it's interesting because it seems as though often the dancing thing is one that is not in the same spirit as what David literally says. So it's great that he reads that verse out of context, right? And in case he's playing devil's advocate here a little bit, he goes, all right, Voddie, here, this is my substantiation. It's like, dude, if you read the whole thing, what does David say he did it for? He did it because the whole point is like, I don't care how I look in front of people. I'm doing this because I love God, and I'm so overwhelmed with what God has done. I am going to, it's like laying prostrate before someone, right? You're like so vulnerable. Like, I don't care that I'm vulnerable. Anybody could stab me in the back right now, but I'm so vulnerable. I'm displaying to God that I don't care about my outward appearance. I don't care about the outward circumstances of this state. I am in full dedication to Him, and in a similar way, you know, David's reason for it is he says, well, I don't care if I humiliate myself before other people. I don't care if I look this way. I serve the Lord, and I do it for the Lord. I did it before God. And I think we're probably hard pressed to find many people doing what they're talking about there, and that be the reason, right?
Yeah. Like, not saying,
but
don't dance.
I'm not saying don't be overcome with like
in most things, check what your motivations are for what you do.
Because I think I can understand where he's saying, like, well, when we make it part of our regular church service, then it is a natural extension of that would be that then this is something that we do in order to be in worship, right? Like it's kind of like how even I think music, worship isn't just something that we do when we sing. Worship is not exclusive to that. Now, I think singing is something that there is regular precedent for in Scripture. Like you read throughout it, like singing is something that is regularly done to the Lord. It is taking our voices and singing and giving them to Him, right? And so I think it makes sense. But like the idea that worship is exclusive to playing a worship song and being led by a worship leader, the way we often do it in the American church, I don't think that it is exclusively that. I think that worship is actually recognizing God's grandeur and majesty and expressing that to Him, recognizing that to Him, right? Giving Him glory and honor by seeing and recognizing and verbalizing how incredibly majestic He is. And that can come in many forms.
But also, just like I said with the dancing, it's also important, like that song, The Heart of Worship.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be all about Him. Like, I'm coming back to the heart of worship where it's all about you.
Because even music can deteriorate, right?
You can, because if you're just in there and then you're lifting your hands and singing just to be part of the crowd or to show off that you can sing very well, but not using your God-given talents to worship God, you're using it to show off before others.
Yeah, the example there would be maybe a worship leader that's like, is really giving it everything they've got, and it's a beautiful performance. And people say, like, man, you have a beautiful voice. And they have an opportunity there to be like, I'm so grateful for what God has given me, and I just want to give it back to Him, right? Or instead be like, really? I like this fame that I'm getting here.
Yeah.
And we have examples like Katy Perry, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about this at youth group recently, but like that's what she did. She had a beautiful voice. She was a worship singer, but she fell in love with people praising her, and then saw
that she could get more praise if she stopped doing worship music. And
because she saw a concert, right? A concert of someone else performing, this rock star, and was like, dude, that's what I want. I like when people say I like the praise I get. But this person performing secularly, right, it gets way more praise, riches, right, is dissuaded by that and decides, you know what, I want that instead. I don't want God. I want this. And, it's like, it doesn't mean that singing is wrong. Like Katy Perry, bad example. So what? We can't sing in church anymore. No. She just did the wrong thing. And we can, I hope that she repents and comes back. But like, and if you even watch some of the things that she's talked about recently, she says, like, that's why I did it. She's like, I wanted the riches. I wanted the fame. I wanted people's praise. It's like, wow, said the quiet part out loud, kind of,
Yeah.
But like, and then still says, like, but I think I have, a relationship with God. She kind of falls into that camp where it's like, yeah, I pray to God, but I don't think Jesus is God. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, then.
And didn't she say, like, oh, I'll go back to it? Like,
I think she's one of the, I think someday I'll go back to it and maybe look back into it or whatever. It's like, well, there might not be a someday. Live for God today. Don't put God on the back burner and I'll get to that eventually, because man, we're not promised tomorrow. And that's really not putting God first. Literally. You're putting Him last. I want to do all this stuff first, and then, I'll say a prayer. But yeah, so it's an interesting topic. I mean, we ended up talking just about, in general, can dancing be an example of not putting God first, and then what putting God first looks like, I think, in some other examples. And the fact of the matter is, worship is about knowing God and knowing who He is, and doing everything to put Him above yourself. And so let's live a life of worship, really, right? Like, let's not make it so that the only time we worship God is when we're thinking about it at church. Like, our whole lives should be dedicated to Him in worship, like that song says, right? Get back to the heart of worship. It's one of my favorite songs, dude. There's a reason I put that in the the lineup for the youth group ones that we do, because I think I want the kids at youth group to think about what that song is
It always
saying.
helps me reflect and remember, like, yeah.
Yeah. There was, not that long ago, I think a couple months ago, where we sang that church for the first time in a real, like, it was the first time I heard it in a long time. And we sang it at church, and I was like, man, this song is good, because it's a great reminder of why we're there. And that worship is literally, it's all about God. And so that song is one of the ones that I think about, and it kind of convicts me when I hear, at a church service or something, I hear a worship song that I'm like, I don't know if this one's really singing that much about God. Like, this one feels kind of like it's about me, and I don't like that, Or if I'm listening to Christian music, and I'm like, this one kind of feels like it's talking about me, like I've done a lot, even if it says like, I've done a lot of great things, because God, it's still, I'm like, I kind of said that I did a lot of great things though, and it makes me like,
I like a lot of the ones that are like, I was terrible. I'm horrible, but God has rescued me. Or I was in this pit. God brought me out of it. Or
because it's good to recognize what we do, because we do a lot of bad.
Yeah, because we do a lot of bad. And just like how God is so much bigger than I, and I would be nothing without God.
Yeah, because those songs are rightly recognizing our place in everything and God's place in everything. Yeah. I've talked about this a lot lately at like some of the groups I'm in, but I just think that so much of what I don't want to say fix a lot of people, but I think so much of what can put people in the right direction, point them in the right direction. And it's something that we need to recognize is thinking rightly about our place in the world and about God's place. And it just comes back to that, right? Like when your life is like, there's so many wrong ways to think about your place and your identity and your value. And if you value yourself first and your identity is in all of your accomplishments, then you're gone, right? You're valuing yourself first, and you're living first for yourself. And if that's where your value is, or that's how you value yourself, and your identity is in yourself, then you are putting yourself above God, obviously. I mean, many people that do that aren't believers, but there are people that claim to be believers, right? But they're living first and foremost for themselves. But if you rightly place yourself, and it's obviously not you can literally place yourself here, but you rightly place yourself below God, then that means that your life will be one that reflects that. And your life will be one where decisions are first and foremost done because they will glorify God, and because you have sought him in prayer, and it means that you want to live for him. And you also recognize like this physical placement, like I am lower than he is. Like, so that when things happen, you also remember like, this is how I feel about this, but his ways are higher than my ways. Right? They are so much greater than my ways. And so I don't get this right now, but you know what? I will remember that his ways higher. I am on the lower end of this understanding. And so it can encourage us as well, because, because I know I'm not in control. Like, man, never are there like more humbling moments than when you really, really see in life that you have no control. Like, you have control over a lot of stuff. Like, God gives us control over some things, but ultimately, final say, like, dude, we don't have control, because anything can happen at any time, right? And so when you're left, like, I think about people, man, there's this guy I was recommended a video on YouTube recently, but this guy that's like 10,000 subscribers, but dude, the algorithm took his video, it's like 300,000 views. He's a book YouTuber, a science fiction book YouTuber. And man, it broke my heart seeing this video, because he was like, many of you guys know, and he's crying, like right when the video starts, like, many of you guys know that my wife and I were expecting a baby, and we had the baby, and then we got home, and then the very next day we knew something was wrong. We go back in, he's like, and then that started 4 days of absolute hell. He's like, it was the worst 4 days of my life, because I guess, I don't remember what it's called. You might know the medical term, but where they go, oh, all that we can do now is manage symptoms. What is that called?
Yeah,
it's like, I think it starts with a P or an S or something. But he's like, it was like the second day, and then they told us that. And he's like, the sad thing is I'm around a lot of people like that all the time, but usually we're geriatric. And he's like, it's still sad.
Like hospice.
Yeah, but he said he works in something like that. But he's like, it's still sad when they're geriatric. Palliative? Palliative. Thank you. That was the word. Okay. Palliative. And he's like, I'm around palliative patients a lot. He's like, but they're geriatric. And that doesn't mean it's not sad. He's like, but it's different, because you're like, this person lived a life, and it is still sad. But he's like, when the best day of your life just happened. Yeah. And then 6 days later, the worst day of your life happened, because they did lose. He lost his son.
It's different when it's end of life care versus end of life at the beginning of life.
Life ends at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only reason I bring that up is to say one thing he said in his video is he's like, man, I don't think he's a believer, but he was like, man, it's just, we have no control. He's like, just when you can't do anything. It's like sometimes in life we are brought to situations where, man, we realize we have no control, and God will bring us through those. And I think that is when we have to remember, like, this hardship is reminding me that I have no control, but remember that God does. And his ways are so much higher. Because if they weren't, if we understood best, if we were at the top of this intellectual kind of ranking above God, which we are not, but if we were, then man, wouldn't we be so doomed? And wouldn't we have nothing but despair? Because then what about, like in our current state, if we were at the top, then what about when those things happen? We're like, I'm out of control. Then it's like, well, what hope do we have? Yeah. We have no hope then. But no, we do have hope as believers because we believe, because we know.
And thank God that we are not on the top of that.
That's what
control.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Because not only because like we don't have enough control to like control anything, but like because we're terrible.
Yeah. If we did.
Like
because we're not perfect.
Even doing as good as we can do, we still fail and mess up.
But and I'm trying to point out that like it is to follow that to the end of encouragement. Like it should encourage us in our lives.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Because when in our lowest moments, we are brought to this stark reality that we have no control. That is something that is so easy for us to then go like, so then I will sit in despair.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't have to, because we know that the God that is in control is so much greater than us.
Greater than
right?
us. And
so it's like
perfect and makes the right decisions with that infinite power.
Which is, I think, should be our answer to people that are like, well, I wish I either say like, no, I don't believe in God and I know that I am in control, or they say like, I don't believe in God because I know that I would make better decisions than God makes anyway. And those are people that are kind of weirdly saying that they believe he's there but makes bad decisions. Yeah. Like the logic doesn't line up. But when people say those sorts of things, or you encounter people that believe that like they would make better decisions than God, or that that they don't need God in their life because they don't agree with the things that he does or whatever. It's like, then, or especially like, I think of some people in our Discord who aren't believers that say like, no, I just stick to my morals. I stick to my morals. And, at the end of the day, like, I know that, I like, because I've brought this up with this person specifically, like what hope do you have then, right? And they're like, well, I just stick to my morals, and I know that sometimes bad things happen and sometimes good things happen, but I'm in control of what I do, and at the end of the day, that's it. And I'm like, well, then what hope do you have when you are left in a situation where you are brought to the end and know that you absolutely had no control in it? What do you do? Well, I think he would just say like, well, I do everything I can do, and then the rest just happens. It's like, yes, but as believers, like, we get to have hope. We get to have hope because we know that God works all things out, for the good. God works all things out for the good of those who love him. I misquoted the verse, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I got the word switched around. But like, for those, if our life is without God, then like, man, it is hopeless. I hate to say it that way but that's the truth.
But it is.
And I guess this is just on my mind. This is what we're going to talk about at Youth Group a little bit tomorrow, is like value, where we get our value. Like, number one, I want to point out to the kids tomorrow that like, have they ever felt like they have no value? Okay, well then first you have value because you're created, and a creation requires intention. So when something is done with intention, it is innately valuable. So boom, right there, you're created. But even more so, if you were saved, then you, regardless of saving, like, the God who did the creating loves you so much, right? And love provides so much value. But like, the God who created you loves you so much that he has given you so much more value because he died for you, right? So this great act of sacrifice was done, which institutes so much more value. But then ultimately, then if you're saved too, like that's an important element. If you are saved, then you have this relationship with that very God. And that gives you so much value. So when you feel valueless, like, boom, remember those three things.
Yeah.
But
if you had no value, then there's no point in saving you and
exactly
like, doing any
yes,
of that.
That's true, right?
Like,
Like, and if who better would be able to mathematically weigh the value, right? To be like, you know, when you're like trying to decide, like, is it worth doing this thing? Man, this thing's about to fall off a cliff. Is it worth grabbing it? Because I might risk my life to do it. Well, if you created that thing that's rolling off the cliff, and you know how much time, sweat, tears, money, everything went into creating it, you know, you will make the best judgment call if you're the creator of it, more than likely. Well, definitely in the case of us, right? Who better to make that judgment call whether or not we are worth saving than our creator? And
the price was his own son.
Yeah. Boom. This is really helping. This is going to help with tomorrow. This is a good conversation. Because I was like, I practiced it a couple times because I always have to, but I've been feeling like, yeah, it's not perfectly refined yet, but got to work it out.
Because I think that, like, even more than just being created and then, like, that he would know that you are. What was your second one before I interjected?
Oh, I just said, number one, that you're created. And something that is created requires intention, and intention imbues value. Number two, that very creator died for all of his creation, whether that they would accept it or not. So whether you're a believer or not, he still instilled value because he chose to die for it. And then number three, if you did accept it, then the relationship with you and that creator instills even more value, right? Because you have been then given a good work to do. Like it says about believers, we are created in Christ Jesus to do the good works that he has prepared us to do. Those good works are prepared for believers, right? Because he created us with a specific purpose and intent, which is to live and experience and express his glory, to live in union with him. We are fallen, which separates us from that. So he did the deed in order to get us to be able to then do the good works that he prepared for us to do. So then to squander the opportunity to do those good works is to devalue ourselves and devalue the sacrifice that he has made. And devalue ourselves, I mean, in the way that's not like, I'm not saying our value is in ourselves. I'm just saying that our value is in the value God gives us. Right?
Yeah, showing that we respect what God has done for us.
Yes, what God has done. Like the value is only in what God has done is the point.
Yeah.
Like we do have value, and we are not supposed to live a life where we go like we are nothing, right? That is that fake humility, the humility that is only self-deprecating. We are instead to recognize that we have no value in and of that we give ourselves. Our value only comes from God in our creation, in what he's done. What were you trying to say though? You asked me what my second one was.
Because I think that, like, not saying, like, because I think in my own personal, like, logic for it, that not just saying that because he died for you, but because he saved you, and the payment for that saving was dying.
Yes.
He put the price that you were worth, like, instead of being eternally, like, sent to hell and separated and like put through all of that, the price to save you was his own son.
Yes.
Going through an excruciatingly painful death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. One of my sermon notes says, I focus again on that word wages that I like to talk about a lot, which is like
the wages
not
of
only
sin.
was he willing to die, it would be one thing if, like, the way it worked was, you know, the wages of sin is death, right? Or it'd be one thing if it was like Jesus had to die at the hands of just the devil. Like this is a spiritual war, and you watch Jesus and this guy die. I think he would still do it, of course, right? But even above that, it is that no. He had to die specifically at the hands of the people that deserved it. So if we deserve the death, right? And he dies in this like way, you know, where he's killed in some specific way that doesn't involve the very people that deserve it killing him. But beyond that also, because of the value in which he has for us, he died at our hands also, right? Like that's even another thing that I wrote down, just like it's not just that he chose to die or that he came down and then just died.
And it's never like, oh shoot, the devil defeated Jesus in this battle in the sky. Oh, Jesus messed up, made a mistake, and the devil won. Jesus came down and humbled himself to become man and did not put up a fight in that death.
Yeah.
Like at any point, he could have called down armies and brought himself up.
But he would have just been faking it if he had if he had fought back to still die.
If he had fought back and still died.
Which is maybe the only thing about, as much as I love that song, The Champion by Carmen, like it's super
because
cool.
it's like we're going to have a death match and then he goes down for the kill.
Yeah. But like Satan would never get that right hook on him that really knocks him out.
Yeah. He would have to like drop his arms and allow that to.
Which is more what happened. Like he literally, like it'd be like if they are in the boxing ring and he's just like goes and he just takes all of the devil's hits.
I mean, behind the scenes, like the devil was trying to stop Jesus at every point, like from doing whatever it was, and I think that some of the prophecies being so strange and like we couldn't see this exact thing happening, but then we look back and it all makes sense.
Perfect,
it's so clear. Like, I think that part of that was so that the devil wouldn't know exactly how to stop. Yeah. Because, like, the devil... Smart. Yeah. I mean...
But even if he did know how, there's no way how because it's God anyway. So even if he did... even if the devil was like, I know exactly how it's going to happen because he projected it, it wouldn't matter, right?
Well, yeah, because God can do anything.
Yeah.
But I think that this way, like, the devil was still trying and the devil thought that, like... he had won because Christ never became the like king of nations, like leading wars and destroying other people. Yeah, he was put onto a like the most wretched way of like only wretches and terrible people die. He died that way, and
so he's sitting there thinking he stained his image.
A mocker's chair. Yeah, with like. The grossest like painful crown imaginable, and well, maybe we can imagine more nowadays. But like,
I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
We are completely off the thing with the Voddie thing.
We went a little bit off topic.
I know it was a good discussion. Consider the ways in which you worship God, right? And just think, worship isn't just a Sunday thing. Obviously, like that's the easy thing to say. But also, it isn't just music, right? Sing to the Lord with all your actions and worship Him with everything. Put Him first. Live your life for Him. And be familiar with who God is, right? Read your Bible because to worship Him is to recognize who He is and to give Him all the glory. So if you're going to do that, know who He is.
Yeah.
So read your Bible. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
That's a good one.